In this demonstration, we'll create a Firewall Access Control List, or ACL. First, so we can see what's happening, we'll show you what happens before we configure the firewall. We'll ping 192.168.1.10, the IP address of the server we'll configure. You can see we get a request timed out. At this point, we don't know what's blocking the communication. It could be that there are network connectivity issues, or it could be a firewall. We'll start asking the obvious questions. Is it turned on? Is the network cable plugged in? Eventually, we'll look at the firewall. If you can ping in only one direction, then you have a problem with the firewall. If you can ping from computer A to computer B, but not from B to A, that indicates a problem with the firewall. Now, let's look at the firewall. We're on the server. We'll type firewall in the search box. We'll open Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. This is a basic firewall, but we want to look at an ACL. To directly configure ACLs on a Windows box, go into Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. We'll open that. Let's look at this. Firewalls often have either an implicit allow or an implicit deny setting. An implicit allow means if it's not specified, it's going to be allowed. If there's no rule that covers it, it's allowed. An implicit deny is the opposite. If there's no rule that covers it, then the traffic is denied. We can see that in Windows we have different profiles: domain profile, private profile, and a public profile. The firewall is on for all three of these profiles. Inbound connections that do not match the rule are blocked. All three of these firewalls have an implicit deny on inbound traffic. If there is no rule that allows it, it is not allowed in. You can see that the outbound connections that do not match a rule are allowed, so there's an implicit allow on outbound. When you set up a rule, you have to choose if it's an inbound or outbound rule. Since we know inbound connections that don't match a rule are blocked, we must make the ping work as an inbound rule. The method we'll use to create the rule is identical for inbound and outbound. You pick the one you need to configure. We'll right-click Inbound Rules and make a new rule. It asks what type of rule we want to create. It could be for a program. In that case, it allows that program to come in. It could be a port. We would specify the port to allow traffic from. We can use one of the predefined rules and find something that works, or we can choose custom. We'll do a custom rule. Let's click Next. Here you choose whether the rule applies to all programs or to a specific program. You can select Customize and have it customized even further. In this case, we're not interested in a specific program, so we'll leave it as Apply to all programs and services. Select Cancel. We'll leave the All Programs setting. Click Next. Now, it wants to know if it's a particular protocol. It could be anything. It could be TCP. It could be IP version 6. There are many options here. We'll say that we're interested in ICMP version 4. In this firewall, if we specify ICMP, we can click Customize to specify the type of ICMP traffic we're interested in. It doesn't have to be all of it. We can say that we want to allow ping. This is the echo request. We'll be very specific. When you're programming Firewall ACL, you want to be very specific. If you're vague, you might open too big a hole in the firewall. If you don't pinpoint exactly what you want to control, it might be too narrow. When you're configuring firewalls, you want to specify exactly the type of traffic you want to allow and deny. Click OK. We've specified the protocol type as ICMP version 4. If we chose a protocol that had ports, we could specify the specific ports or a port range. We've narrowed the type of traffic we're talking about, so we'll click Next. We can customize it even more if we want. We can click Customize and tell it the rule applies only to connections from certain interface types. We're not going to configure this. We'll click Cancel. We can specify the IP address of the client if we want only that machine to be able to ping the server. We can also specify remote IP addresses it applies to. We'll leave this wide open and say that the server will respond to pings from any IP address. Let's click Next and Continue. Now, we need to tell it what to do with the connection. Do we want to allow the connection if it is secure, or block the connection? Since the inbound rules are implicit deny, we want this rule to allow pings to happen. So we choose Allow this connection. Now, we want to tell it when this rule applies. Domain profiles apply when the computer is connected to a corporate domain. A private profile applies when it's connected to a private network. Public profiles apply when it's connected to a public network. We specified that it's private. Click Next. Finally, we give the rule a name. We'll call it allow ping. You want to name rules so that you can look at the rule and know what that rule controls. Then we'll click Finish. You can see the rule here at the top of the inbound rules. Let's go back to the client and see what's happened. Since we've changed the Firewall ACL on the server, we'll try to ping again. And now it's successful. Customizing a Firewall ACL is not difficult. It's a matter of creating the rules you want. You need to know if you're starting with an implicit allow or an implicit deny, and then create rules to either allow or deny access as needed. That's it for this demonstration. In this demo, we configured an ACL on a firewall to allow ping requests.